Hello lovelies, my name is Sarah and welcome back to the Book Witch's Cauldron. I know we've been gone for quite a few months now, I think, and if you don't follow me on Twitter, you might not know that I purposefully went on a hiatus. Filming and editing was becoming very stressful for me for some reason, and I decided that it would be best to just step away and let myself come back to it when I felt ready. I think part of the problem was that I am a perfectionist and I want the things that I do, the videos I produce, to be perfect, which when you say it out loud, you can kind of realize how ridiculous in a way that sounds. But I was feeling down about the fact that I know the quality of my video isn't the greatest. I film on my computer, and I know that my editing skills are not very great at the moment. I'm still learning. And I was comparing too much, I think, to be able to enjoy just learning and being a part of the community and producing content that I liked. So I've been able to step away, enjoy videos, enjoy watching them, enjoy connecting with people, and hopefully now I can come back and just do what I like doing, talking about books, having conversations with you, and learning as I go and just having a good time. So I'm going to start off with a book haul because I have accumulated quite a number of books since the last time that I talked to you guys. I am going to be filming a couple other videos right after this, so there will be videos other than hauls coming up on my channel really soon. But I thought that I'd start by showing you the books that I have, so let's just get started. For the most part, these books are going to be in no particular order. There's no way I remember when I bought any of these. So unless they're in a series, I'm probably just going to show these in a very random order. The first book that I have is What Is Not Yours Is Not Yours by Helen Oyeyemi. This is a short story collection, and let me just tell you, it is, if you can believe it, prettier in person. So it has this like hand-bound look. The spine is open, and you can see sort of how the book is bound in the spine. So it opens very flat, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And it's so pretty that I kind of feel like I don't want to touch it because I don't want to ruin it, so I'm gonna put it down. But this is a short story collection, and I've heard so many great things about Helen Oyeyemi, her writing, her short stories in particular. I don't know in particular what the stories are about, but I do know that Helen Oyeyemi uses a lot of fairy tale, mythology, imagery, and magical realism in her stories, and honestly, that's all I needed to know. The next book I have here is a new release, or relatively new release. It's The Essex Serpent by Sarah Perry, which is also another really, really, really pretty book. This is a historical fiction about a woman who has been recently widowed, and she travels to Essex to hunt down this mythical serpent that locals are saying lives in the area. I've heard nothing but really great things about it, and I just needed to pick it up and read it for myself. I've been really in the mood for literary fiction, historical fiction lately. I'm still reading a ton of fantasy, primarily fantasy, but I've been finding myself lately really missing reading classics, literary fiction, historical fiction, which in many ways has been my primary genre for a lot of my life, and I really want to get back into that. So this is part of that sort of mood shift in my reading lately. This next one is also a relatively new release, and it is The Muse by Jessie Burton. I think this is her second novel. I have not read her first one, The Miniaturist, but this edition is, look at the pages, and it also has a bookmark, like a bookmark built in. It's so pretty. This is another historical novel about a woman who has moved to the UK from Trinidad, and she works in an art gallery, and a mysterious painting comes into the gallery, and I think things kind of take off from there. I'm really excited about it. Once again, this is part of my attempt to get back into literary, historical fiction, classics, and I've heard really good things about this, so I'm really excited to get into it. Next up is The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the fourth and final book in the Raven cycle, and I'm sure you've seen it before, but this cover art it's just unbelievably pretty. I've already read this book. It devastated me emotionally, spiritually. I will never recover. But yeah, if you've read this and, like me, live in a trash can of pinch feels, hit me up in the comments. This next one is one of my currently readings, actually. You can see the super fancy bookmark that I have in here. But this is The Boy Who Lost Fairyland by Catherine M. Valente. This is the fourth book in her Fairyland series. The first three of this series I got from my library, but they don't have the fourth and the fifth one. And let's be real, I love this series and I'm gonna own them anyway, so I went ahead and bought this one. As I said, I'm currently reading this. I'm probably just shy of halfway through at the moment. It's so good. I really loved the first and second one. The third one I still liked a lot, but I think it's definitely my least favorite so far, and this once again is back up, in my opinion, on par with the first and second novels. I love it so much. It follows a little troll boy named Hawthorne who's taken as a changeling child to the human world, and we follow his adventures. I just really love this series. It's so good. The Fairyland series follows mainly a little girl named September, who in the first novel is taken off to Fairyland and has to go on an adventure. So this obviously has a main character different than the first three novels, but the writing is so beautiful. The way Valente weaves the story together is breathtaking. If you have not read this middle grade series, please, please check it out. It's so good and well worth your time. Next up is another book that I bought as a new release, The Queen of the Night by Alexander Chee, and it's just so pretty. Oh, I love it so much. The end papers are just black. I don't know if there's anything. No. But I am so in love with this cover. I actually really like the US cover as well. It's really, really, really pretty. I don't actually know which one I prefer, but The Queen of the Night follows a woman who is an opera singer. She becomes well known enough and famous enough that someone writes an opera specifically for her, which is this grand sort of honor. But when she gets the script, she realizes that the script details secrets about her past that only a few people could have known. And so the book is her trying to figure out who betrayed her. I've sort of ended up doing all of my hardcovers first, which, okay, whatever. This is a used hardcover I got, and it is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. I wanted to make sure that I got the first two in the covers that I really like, and it happens that the hardcovers are the only ones that have the consistent cover art. So I found this one used. I also found the mime order used, and it actually got sent to my parents' place in the US. So I'm gonna have to like splice things together. But this book series, this book in particular, is about a young woman named Paige, who has magical abilities in London, and she's part of this like underground organization that uses their powers to commit various levels of crime. And one day she is arrested and put in this like detention work camp type thing for people with powers, and things kick off from there. It's incredibly good. I loved this book. I'm gonna end up rereading this before I read on in the series, and I'm really excited to have it. Next up, we have The Arenda by Joseph Boyden. I don't know a whole lot about this other than it is a historical fiction novel that takes place in, I think, early colonial Canada, and I've heard some pretty good things about it. I found it for really cheap in a charity shop and decided to pick it up. Next up, we have Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. I bought this after seeing an article about a movie that is loosely based on this novel that's coming out next year, the year after. I'm not really sure. The movie is a Korean retelling of this British novel that takes place in England, and the movie is described as a Korean lesbian revenge thriller. So I'm in. And when I realized that it was based off this book, I was like, well, I gotta read it. So here we go, Fingersmith. This will be my first Sarah Waters book. She writes historical fiction, and all of her novels feature queer women, which is incredibly exciting. I'm super jazzed about this, so yeah. Next we have my Robin Hobb books that I've bought. I'm participating in the Hobb-along, which is run by Sam from Sam's Nonsense. I'll leave a link to her channel as well as the Goodreads group down below. It has the schedule, the list of books, etc. I owned the first novel in the Farseer trilogy, Assassin's Apprentice, but I bought a Royal Assassin and Assassin's Quest, which is the second and third novels in the Farseer trilogy. I have read both of these as part of the read-along. The Farseer trilogy follows a boy named Fitz, who at 6 years old is dropped off at a military fort. His grandfather says that he is the bastard son of the crown prince, and many, many, many adventures, mishaps, mayhem ensue from there. And then the next trilogy in her Realm of the Elderling series is the Live Ship Traders. So I have Ship of Magic, The Mad Ship, and Ship of Destiny, all once again by Robin Hobb. I'm currently reading Ship of Magic right now. These are all, once again, absolutely huge. This trilogy follows separate characters in a separate part of the world where there are these things called live ships, where if 3 successive generations of a family, the captain dies on board the ship gains sentience. So they can talk, they have feelings, mind of their own, and these live ships are the only boats or craft at all that can navigate the Rainwilds River, which gives whoever sails the ship great riches in trade. Okay, the next 3 books I know for sure that I picked up at a local charity shop. The first is Company of Liars by Karen Maitland. Karen Maitland writes early medieval historical fiction, standalones primarily, I believe maybe exclusively. I think this is one of her earliest novels. This is about a group of people traveling through England during the first wave of the plague that wipes through Europe essentially, but it follows them the summer it first comes to England. So good. I've read this already. It was really, really good. Karen Maitland is definitely becoming one of my favorite authors. Next we have The Gargoyle by Andrew Davidson. Sorry, I forgot his name. This edition is actually really cool. It's got black edges. I think I'd seen this, I know I'd seen it on someone's channel. I have no idea where, to be honest, but apparently it's a very strange book, and I'll admit I don't know much about the plot, but it was only a couple of pounds at the shop. It was really pretty, and so I decided to give it a chance. Next we have A Place of Greater Safety by Hilary Mantel. This book is absolutely enormous. This is one of her earliest novels, and this follows a group of people during the French Revolution. I love Hilary Mantel's writing. She writes really good historical fiction, and when I saw this at the charity shop, I went ahead and picked it up. This next book I got on the book depository because I wanted a very specific cover, and that is this edition of Clariel by Garth Nix. I'm obsessed with the Aporson series. I read the trilogy in 2015. This is the prequel novel. I've heard it's not as good as the original trilogy, but a 4th book in the trilogy, 5th book in the series technically, is coming out in October, and I'm so excited because essentially it's a direct sequel to the trilogy itself, following Lyriel again, who is the main character of the final 2 books in the trilogy. This is the Australian cover. I really love these. They're so pretty, and the book depository had it, so I went ahead and picked it up. This next one is a sequel to a novel I think I've hauled previously. Hopefully I have. It is The 12 by Justin Cronin, which is the sequel to his novel The Passage. The Passage details essentially a vampire apocalypse in the US. I have read it already. I gave it a 3-star. There were things I really liked about it. There were things I really didn't like about it. And I'm not necessarily certain if it's a novel I'd recommend to people. But since I've already read the first one, I really want to know what happens, so this is the second one. The third one, The City of Mirrors, just recently came out in hardcover, so I'm probably not in a massive rush to read this, but I do want to finish the series, so I went ahead and picked up this one. Okay, I promise we are almost done. I'm so sorry, there are so many books. We're down to actually the last 4 books. Next up I have 12 Kings by Bradley Beaulieu. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. French names are really difficult for me to pronounce. I'm so sorry. This novel takes place in a desert kingdom where 12 kings rule the city, and there are secrets, and the secrets are uncovered by an assassin. They kill the assassin, but she has a daughter. Dun dun dun! That's who this is, probably. I've heard some really good things about this. It really piqued my interest, so I thought I'd pick it up. Next up is another relatively new release, and that is This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. I guess V.E. Schwab on this one, so I guess it's a YA novel. So, sorry. I'm pretty sure she uses V.E. Schwab for her YA titles and Victoria Schwab for her adult titles. So I guess this is a YA fantasy. I've heard mixed things about this. I did hear that there is no romance in this novel, which I'm not going to pretend that that doesn't make me extremely excited to read this book. But it follows a young woman who is a human and a young man who is a monster in a city that is divided between humans and monsters. I've got my fingers crossed. One is Sorcerer to the Crown by Zen Cho. I'm so excited about this novel. I've been eyeing it ever since it came out. This is an alternative historical fantasy where England has a royal sorcerer. Magic is an accepted part of life, but women are not allowed to practice. The main character is African, and he is England's first Black royal sorcerer. And aside from the issues of his race in a Victorian English society, he is having a lot of trouble with the fairy court, who apparently in this story have cut England off from its supply of magic just when they're about to go to war with France. So he sets off to try and fix these things and runs into an orphan named Prunella, who is a woman, and apparently they team up, and I have heard that it discusses a lot of issues dealing with gender and race in Victorian English society. There's magic. I'm really excited. I've heard nothing but really great things about this, and yeah. We have finally reached the last book in this haul, and that is The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. This is an epic fantasy novel, and from the description, it is epic in every sense. It follows the story of an empire. I've heard really amazing things about this. The second novel in this series is coming out very soon. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this incredibly long haul. I know I'm really out of practice with filming, so I'm sure I left out a lot of details about these books. Hopefully it wasn't too bad. Hopefully I get back into the swing of things really quickly. Please let me know if any of these books look particularly interesting to you. If you've read any of them, let me know what you think. And yeah, in general, if you have anything you want to talk to me about on any of these multiple books, let me know in the comments and we'll chat. Okay, I'll see you in my next video. Bye!